All right, welcome to today's study. We're going to dive right into a full summary of the really vivid narrative presented by The Little Lamb That Roared. A link to the source channel is below in the description box, and please remember that prayers for the Watchman channels are very much appreciated, and give a hype and like, please. Okay, so we're examining this incredibly intricate, multifaceted synthesis of time, prophecy, and celestial mechanics that was developed by a researcher named Shelley. It's this fascinating, comprehensive look into a deeply detailed worldview that just masterfully weaves together complex math, ancient scriptural texts, and our very real modern anxieties into one unified theory. Understanding why this specific synthesis is so captivating definitely requires an open mind, because, well, it challenges so much of what we just naturally accept as standard everyday knowledge. So here's exactly what we're going to cover in this study. Number 1, the true biblical calendar. 2, prophecy and watch dates. 3, the threat of AI. 4, celestial geometry and harmony. 5, questioning modern astronomy. And finally, number 6, a call to salvation.
Let's kick things right off with Section 1, the true biblical calendar. Our study begins with Shelley's foundational work to recover what she identifies as a highly accurate, ancient system for tracking time. She describes it as this massive undertaking to perfectly align historical day counts, lunar phases, and scriptural timelines into a single cohesive system that, unfortunately, was lost for millennia.
We start with a really stark mathematical contrast. Just think about the Gregorian calendar for a second, right? The one we all use every single day. It has 365 days, wildly irregular months that inexplicably hop between 28 and 31 days, and months named after ancient pagan figures. Mathematically speaking, it creates this messy surplus of 11 days a year, which inevitably leads to the confusing necessity of leap years just to keep things somewhat aligned. But in contrast, the presentation advocates for what it calls the true calendar. This alternative system relies on a beautifully consistent, perfectly divisible 364-day structure made up of exactly 52 weeks. It features a neat, totally predictable surplus of exactly 10 days per year and relies on flawlessly structured lunar phases that align perfectly over a 3-year cycle. Basically, it leaves absolutely zero room for mathematical chaos.
That truly crucial anchor point here is that number itself, 364. According to the presentation, 364 is central to this profound divine harmony, and it breaks down into some highly symbolic components. The number 3 represents the Holy Trinity. The number 6 represents mankind, who is the subject of divine love and constant attention. And the number 4 stands for the material world, which is inherently governed by the laws of time and physics. By using a 364-day year, the presenter argues that time mathematically just locks perfectly into place. It completely circumvents all those weird fractions, adjustments, and leap years that complicate our modern calendars. It reflects a universe built on absolute perfect order, rather than just arbitrary, shifting numbers. Okay, moving right along to Section 2, prophecy and watch dates. So understanding this restored mathematical timeline naturally leads the presenter to pinpoint some extremely specific prophetic watch dates. These are based on recurring scriptural patterns found right within this 364-day framework. First, the days of Noah are brought up as a historical parallel to impending sudden judgment. Just as the ancient world was overcome by wickedness and surprised by a sudden flood, this framework suggests our current era is standing on a remarkably similar precipice. Then, the source points to July 23rd as a current focal watch date on this new calendar, marking a period of intense spiritual significance. And finally, July 26th is deeply connected to a profound 2009 prophecy, a warning given to watchmen about approaching celestial events, along with a really intriguing biblical concordance. The presenter is urgently asking watchers to use this data to navigate the intense biblical times we're rapidly entering. That intense focus on July 26th is actually directly tied to Strong's Concordance word 2726, which is harpazo. This specific Greek word translates directly to being snatched, taken up, seized, or raptured. The presentation points to this definition as a clear, undeniable indicator of the sudden salvation of true believers. To give you some vivid context, it compares this approaching event directly to ancient biblical figures. Think of Enoch in Genesis, who walked with God and was simply no more, or Philip in the book of Acts, who was miraculously snatched away by the Spirit. Both were taken up suddenly, setting a divine precedent for being instantly removed to be spared from earthly wrath and tribulation. And this profound urgency is backed up heavily by the 80th chapter of the book of Enoch. The ancient text warns, "The days of the sinners in the years will be shortened, their operations in seasons and arrivals to return." The source uses this text to argue that strange, unpredictable weather, corrupted seasons, and deeply unsettling time irregularities were explicitly foretold for the end days.
It takes these ancient scriptural warnings and ties them directly to the chaotic weather patterns and environmental anxieties we're constantly feeling today, framing them not as climate accidents, but literally as fulfilled prophecy.
Speaking of modern anxieties, let's get into Section 3, the threat of AI.
The presenter asserts that this prophesied chaos bleeds directly into our rapidly changing and honestly often terrifying technological landscape. There are incredibly stark warnings presented about the rapid militarization of robotics by massive companies like Palantir. One warning in particular is genuinely chilling. Quote, "These are hyper-intelligent, vastly more intelligent than human beings, and capable of achieving goals where human beings are an obstacle." We're not just talking about predictive text algorithms here, folks. We're talking about autonomous drone swarms and AI-driven robots that are already being deployed alongside police and military operations globally. According to the source, major AI safety experts actually believe it's already far too late to stop this extremely dangerous technological advancement.
To find some perfect order amidst all this earthly chaos and technological dread, Section 4 shifts our focus upward to celestial geometry and harmony.
The sheer elegance of the math presented here is genuinely staggering. Shelley maps out this stunning correlation between the planets. If you take Venus's 224-day year and the Earth's 364-day year and divide them both by 28, you get the numbers 8 and 13. Now, this 8-to-13 ratio is exactly identical to the famous Fibonacci sequence. That's the golden ratio found perfectly throughout nature, dictating the spiral arrangement of seeds in a pine cone or a nautilus shell. The presentation argues that seeing this exact mathematical signature in our planetary system reveals a seamless, integrated design that absolutely defies random evolutionary chance. It's presented as undeniable mathematical proof of intelligent intention. And this overlapping geometric harmony extends even further into the wider sky. The calculations show a flawless, deeply sequential order. Exactly 16 Mars years perfectly matches 49 Venus years. Saturn's massive orbit flawlessly divides into Venus years exactly 48 times. And perhaps most beautifully, over an 8-year cycle, Venus's trajectory actually traces a flawless symmetrical petal arrangement around the Earth, widely known as the Rose of Venus. So rather than just random rocks hurtling through a chaotic void, everything up there works together to literally draw a beautiful, interlocking, endlessly repeating geometric flower.
Which brings us to a major turning point in Section 5. Questioning modern astronomy. The study notes that this perfectly mathematical, harmonious model directly conflicts with the narratives provided by modern space agencies. Instead, the presentation firmly advocates for a geocentric model. This is a cosmological design where the Earth is completely fixed and unmovable right at the center of everything, with the sun, moon, and planets orbiting above it in perfect geometric harmony. A massive piece of evidence for this comes straight from the book of Joshua, chapter 10. During a huge battle, Joshua commanded the sun and the moon to stand perfectly still in the sky for nearly a full day, and they actually obeyed. The core argument here is that for this historical, biblical event to physically happen, the sun actually has to be the moving body that was halted, rather than a rotating Earth suddenly slamming on the brakes.
The crucial point of contention really boils down to how we observe the heavens. Modern astronomy relies heavily on data compilations and mathematical models, portraying planets as dry, solid rocks floating in a vacuum, calculating time with those flawed Julian years. But the source argues something entirely different, based on direct observation. Using highly capable Nikon P900 camera footage, the source asserts that when you zoom way in on celestial bodies, they don't look like solid rock at all. Instead, they appear as these beautiful, pulsating orbs of fluid, frequency, or plasma. Furthermore, the source completely rejects the modern Julian calendar in favor of those pure, untainted 364-day calculations, arguing our modern scientific narrative is entirely backward.
To deeply anchor these bold physical observations, the study points directly to Scripture in Isaiah 40 and Proverbs 8, quoting, "It is he that sits upon the circle of the earth, when he appointed the foundations of the earth fixed and unmovable." The presenter uses these powerful passages to declare that the Earth is undeniably a fixed circle securely placed beneath a solid firmament. The argument suggests that modern astronomical narratives aren't just accidentally wrong, but are actively designed to obscure this divine truth from humanity, hiding the undeniable reality of a beautifully engineered enclosed world.
Finally, we arrive at our conclusion in Section 6, a call to salvation.
Ultimately, all these interwoven elements we've looked at, the perfectly mathematical calendar, the geometric planets, the terrifying AI threat, they all point toward a single, deeply urgent spiritual conclusion.
The presenter warns that the coming lies and global deceptions will be extreme and completely unparalleled in human history. A massive part of this coming deception involves entities posing as extraterrestrial aliens. According to the source, these aren't visitors from other galaxies at all. They are actually ancient fallen angels and demonic spirits released to deceive the nations. Because of this impending deception, viewers are strictly warned not to put faith in material things, human relationships, or any worldly institutions. The ultimate message is to put all hope, trust, and faith completely in Jesus for salvation, securing an eternal home rather than clinging to a mortal world that is rapidly passing away.
Which leads us to a really crucial final question. If our fundamental understanding of time, mathematics, and the very heavens above us shifts so dramatically, how does that change where we place our ultimate trust? As we conclude this truly captivating study, we're left to deeply ponder how rethinking our foundations, from the calendar on our wall to the stars glowing in the night sky, should ultimately draw our faith completely away from the failing systems of this world and focus it entirely towards salvation. What reality are you truly trusting today?